I have just played for you Frédéric Chopin's Ballade No. 3 in A-flat major, Opus 47. Chopin wrote 4 ballades, and they are some of the greatest pieces written for the solo piano literature. They are groundbreaking works, large scale, and in a single movement. Chopin did not give romantic titles to his works like his contemporaries were doing at the time. Mendelssohn, Liszt, Schumann. This was all the rage of program music, to try to explain what the pieces were about, but Chopin didn't like that, and in fact was adverse to that his entire life. He did, however, choose the title Ballade from the literary domain and was the first composer to use it, creating a brand new category for a musical composition. Using this word ballade in the sense of a legend or a story also frees him from having to follow any rigid structures from classical sonata form. Chopin was an amazing improviser. In fact, many of his compositions began as pure improvisation. This was one of them. He was inspired to write a musical impression, not a word-for-word representation, but just a loose impression of a poem called Undine, written by the great Polish poet Adam Mickiewicz. This is the story about a mermaid who casts a spell and lures the sailors with her beautiful, intoxicating song. The written out version of this ballade followed quickly and easily, written out in 1841, and was an immediate success. You know, of all the works that have been written since then, the ballades remain at the top of the list of beloved repertoire. And you will find them frequently performed on programs of concert pianists as well as the aspiring piano student. I love playing this third ballade. And if you are looking to play one of the four ballades, this would be a great one to start with. So let's take a look now at this third ballade and see just what goes into it. Well, as I said, it's in the key of A flat major. And your scale the meter is 6/8 time, and that's a compound meter, which breaks down into 3 and 3 as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the rhythm of the barca roll, barca meaning boat, and it has that rocking, lilting, gentle swaying feel. So Chopin is incorporating that. He's doing a very interesting type of composition for the opening 8 measures of theme 1. And he starts by going up the degrees of the A flat major scale. Let's review that scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. E flat is the 5th scale degree, the dominant. And that is the pitch that he chooses to begin the melody of theme 1. And it's taken by the soprano voice. And it goes up 6 of the notes of the scale like this. And then from the C, it leaps up to the F and falls down to the E flat. And if I count the rhythm of these 2 measures for this opening phrase, let's see what beat that falling second arrives on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is going to play out heavily in this whole first theme 1 section. The 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. The next note after that E flat is the D flat, and if we went down the scale, that's what Chopin is going to do. For the next voice entry, start on the D flat in measure 3, but it's down an octave, and it's for the bass. This is what this 2-measure phrase melody sounds like. Did you notice what happened at the end there? He did a dotted rhythm. And he also weaved a little bit out of the A flat major scale by taking first A natural and then going to the tonic A flat. And that dotted rhythm is going to also play heavily throughout the entire first section. That ends on the E flat, just like the first 2-measure phrase did. Now, the second 2-measure phrase is where we are here, final note E flat, still this dominant. What's the next phrase going to start on? Another dominant. Down here for the bass in measure 5. Measures 5 and 6 sound like this for the bass. Now you ask yourself, gee, isn't that just like what the soprano did? And the answer is yes, it's identical. And to test it, I always put the hands together and play them at the same time. They are identical. And the final 2-measure phrase for measures 7 and 8 finally starts on the tonic A flat and goes up simply 3 notes of the scale and rocks back down to A flat major. So we had the soprano entry for the first 2-measure phrase, the bass entry for the second, the bass entry now for the main melody for the third 2-measure phrase, and the fourth and closing 2-measure phrase was for the soprano again. So that's 2 voices, soprano and bass. But that's just part of our theme 1. This is a contrapuntal composition, meaning that Chopin is using 2 or more voices of different melodies, but they're harmonized nicely together. They're compatible, but they're different melodies. So in measure 1, with our upward rising scale degrees of the soprano, it's a little sigh there. In that same first beat of E flat, the bass is also playing, and it goes down like this. And if we play those together, we get to show you something from my music that's very, very interesting right here in this opening measure that I've just played these first 2 measures. This very first note here, this E flat played by the right hand, has an upward stem, and that says it's for the soprano, and it's the rising melody going up. To the left of that note head E flat is a downward stem, and that means a different voice plays at the same time, and that's the bass voice going down. Notice here that this is mezza voce. That means half voice. And we'll get back to this music and all my supplies later in the lesson, but I wanted to show you that double stem on the first note so that you realize immediately that we have 2 voices going at the same time. There are more voices, which I'm going to bring in now. We have an alto voice on the first measure, beats 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. And then we have joining in measure 2, a gorgeous pair, 2 different sets, alto and tenor, in the middle of the soprano and the bass, that make this companion harmony for the falling second. That's a marvelous touch Chopin does. And I like to hear this as a giro, that we're sort of blending and bending these tones. And if we put it with the outer soprano and bass, look what we get. Doesn't that just open your heart? And then we go on to the next 2 measured phrase with the single bass, and we are harmonized above it with this. And our third phrase, which we know is the opening melody, we have a gorgeous duet in tenths for the bass and the tenor above, like this. This is counterpoint, straight from Bach, which was Chopin's greatest idol. He revered Bach, and all of his compositions have the influence of Bach, with 4-part writing and horizontal writing. Not necessarily vertical with homogenized chords, but separate horizontal lines of the different voices, and that's what I'm trying to teach today at this opening here. Here we have measure 5, and then it goes to 6ths, and above that we have, now here's another one of those blooms on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's doing that twice, that blending. What do you want to bring out there? Do you want to bring out this? Or you get your choice there. So you don't have to play it the same way each time. Let's take measures 5 and 6 as written, and I'm going to bring out this melody on the bass. Here we go. Get into the technique of this. This is very complex. This is actually very advanced to bring these kinds of tones and blendings into playing. It'd be very simple just to play them prosaically like that, which you will hear with the more intermediate levels. But to really make something of the sigh, this is always with the breath and the voice. That was nice. And then we go on for the final phrase. Remember, it's just, but guess what he does? I just love this so much. He does a duet in sixths. Below the soprano, we have the tenor. Now, you may not hear that with these chords, but it's in there. It's so beautiful. Simple A flat major chord. Outer voices are the A flats. Now that concludes theme 1. Amazingly, only 8 measures. It's so uncharacteristic of any compositions up to this time to stop your theme 1 like that. And also for the other 3 ballades Chopin wrote, he doesn't stop it there. He develops the theme 1 for pages before going to new material, but not here with Chopin. He does still A flat major. He's going to take these A flats, double them, and burst the hands out in opposite directions. Announcing another one. Let's just stop right there. That's 4 measures that Chopin is exploring the falling second. I'm going to play the left hand alone and show you really how basic this is harmonically. This is measure 9. Our downbeat is A flat. Measure 10. Measure 11. Measure 12. Measure 13. 14. 15. 16. That was 8 measures of simply an A flat, the tonic, and an E flat, the dominant. So he's really staying with this A flat major as a harmonic ground for us. But he's exploring the falling second on the 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And even blend these as sighs. Of course, it's down here. And now piano. And the repetition now with a little variation. Forte, dotted rhythm. And this is the same as the first time. So practice that left hand alone so that you learn that part and you are starting to practice controlling the tones and making beautiful tones. This mezzo voce, this half voice, it's a huge clue of the touch that we're going to get. And this is buoyant. If it is a water piece, which it reminds me of, it's going to be buoyant and always have this floating quality. And if she is weaving a spell around us, and she's going to do some pretty irresistible things with her voice. And I think these sighs with the blending and bending, it's almost like bending the pitch of a note that you could do on a stringed instrument. You can almost do it on the piano here. So what does the right hand do here now in measure 9? These 8 measures? Well, let's play it by itself. A flat for measure 9. And then it has this lovely upward 4th, which came from C to F. He sneaks it in there like this. And then it goes off. It's just a little flourish. And then he does the repeated that he had at the end of that dotted E flat. touch here, tap. You have to be very soft and delicate with your hand here to get this to repeat, but have it the half voice. You'll practice a lot with that. I'm just kind of tapping and going up a little bit. Okay, and then the repetition. And now we have the first virtuoso gesture of an octuplet in octaves for the right hand alone. And back to the E flat, just holding that dominant. I'm going to put the hands together and then just talk a little bit about that octuplet. Measure 9, hands together, feel the rocking. Let your body sway to the buoyant rocking rhythm of the barcarolle. And this, by the way, is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go right off on that fourth beat, because that's where the rest is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now piano. Repetition. Technical tips on this. This is one of the harder passages in the piece. I break this into really the 3 parts. The first 2, and then I do the next 3 chromatics as a group, and the final skip up a third to the G, and then you're off. There's a little tiny rest at the beginning of the octuplet. It's a 16th rest, and that rest, that's actually the first count of the 8 notes of an octuplet here, is the rest, and I lift my hand and my arm on that rest and get a running start, lift, and then drop on that D and off. So 3 motions, lift, that was good. And the fingering on this is hard. It's 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5. And the bottom is all thumbs. This is virtuoso to play like that, but it is an elegant gesture, and part of the risk of something difficult at the beginning of the piece like this is part of the character. It's part of throwing in an elegant but gesture adroit. This obviously takes some skill to do that. Please try not to facilitate this by taking it with the 2 hands, which I often see, because you're losing the whole point of the nonchalance and the sleight of hand gesture with all one hand. How lovely and elegant to be able to do that. So try to do that with the single hand, as Chopin asks us to do. Okay, let's go on now. Closing. Measure 17, we have another 8 measures. Let's take the left hand alone. We have the bass, A flat. Now we have a new note, F, E flat, and a repetition. So, adding one more pitch there, so it's not just tonic and dominant. And above that, we have our same 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and this time the following second is at the bottom. Repetition now is a little different and pretty extraordinary. The dotted rhythms. Down. So, which we had here. And then right hand. want to shock you. Not A flat major. G flat does not belong in the A flat major scale. We're going someplace now. This is a little stirring you up here. Look what comes next. Further because I want to break this down into the basic harmonic structures here, and I found this fascinating because at this point in measure 25 Chopin is not giving us the 3 4 6 1 3 4. He's giving that beat notes 1 2 3 4 5 6 1. These are called trochaic rhythms just for these few measures. 1 it starts rocking again, and it also starts to get out, completely out. What is all this? And then very much sounding like C major. Let's see if that is what it is. So now we have this falling second in the form of the trill. Seconds coming together, and then he goes to in a diminuendo and in a dissolving. We play this now exactly as written, with starting with this. That's a good trill. I'm doing high fingers like that, just sort of fluttering. I find in this passage it's easier to control technically if I have these loose, high ballerina type fingers. The trills work great that way. And these are mirror images of an F major chord and an F5/7 in the bass. Itself here, since you need to know hands alone, 5 1 5 1 diminuendo. This is the most gorgeous moment. This whole section, which was developing the falling second on the dotted rhythm by going to C major. But there's more to that. I'm going to take the right hand alone. Doing hands alone because you must know every passage with hands alone so you can shape this. Okay, this is starting measure 25, and this gets rocky, gets on the beats. Up. And there's an accent. That was a sequence, repeating the same thing up a step. Now, 2 of these, and then up to the E, and an A natural, soft, and the passage that follows. veiled and ethereal like that. It's some of the highest to the bottom. Okay, hands together. Feel the rocking. Off. Off. Now this is beautiful. And with 3 notes going up half steps. And guess what? We're back to theme 1. But before we finish this section with the rest of this piece, the remaining 16 measures, I want to give you a little breakdown of this gorgeous 3-measure, huge ascending and descending arc in C major, measure 33. These have, interestingly enough, we know we're in C major here, going up the inversions of the C major scale. That's in there. So you need to know your inversions for C major. Now what he's doing is doing a little bit of a suspension, then settling into this one, and settling into the next one, and there's your root position. And coming down is a straight arpeggio on C major until here's G, C, G, C. Now the goal is to play this legato without any pedal. This should be completely legato, and on the counts it's not going to be, you could practice to learn this just to get your patterns, but you also at the same time need to know that it starts on the second beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. You need to be able to do that. And notice my technique here. I'm holding this and flicking over. This is the technique for an arpeggio. See, I flip like that, so I don't let go. You don't want to jump off the key. With pedal, it's all the more beautiful. Measure 1 returns. Exactly like it. So far the same. Till here. Ah. And a little more. And this what we had here, this measure 41, is this beautiful parallel. Straight from measure 5. It's a sequence. Getting you back to the E flat and above it. And then we get a falling second. He's even playing with that. All together. Our original measure 1 melody now for the soprano in octaves. And up an octave. And one more. Heavenly. And you'll be amazed to know that in this we have identical notes in measure 2. So he's giving an absolute enclosed entity from the very beginning of the piece to the very end. And the final strain of our theme 1 with this single A flat major 3 notes without harmonizing in any way. He gives that now to the bass in octaves to close out the piece, or in unison. This is closing, just like it began. And one chord, A flat major, to seal it. And that closes theme 1. Then comes our theme 2, introduced in an extraordinary way, with these unexpected rocking Cs. And that's a motive that Chopin is going to use all the way through this whole next section, which introduces theme 2. Now, one of the things about this ballade that is quite unusual is he actually has 2 different strands for theme 2. He has an introductory strand, which I will call theme 2 part A, and then he has the main part called theme 2 part B in a different key. Well, he's leading up to this, and he's doing it in a very seamless way, all the while on this lilting, rocking, iambic rhythm of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. That's the characteristic rhythm so far in the piece. We had it all the way through the first section, theme 1. We're going to have it even more now in theme 2, starting with the up E. These C's are really a dominant function, which is going to lead us to right here. That's really F major. Down to the C again. And a little spooky A flat. It sounds so simple and sweet and carefree. He brought us from that little sneak bit of F major with the part A, which only lasted for a second. Didn't even really know we were F major. But then he arrives at this solid F minor. And what is F minor? It's the relative minor of A flat major. And that is the dominant key area for the main strand of theme 2, F minor. And he's going to come back to this 3 different times in the piece, and they're all in extraordinary ways. So here's the first time we're hearing now this theme 2 part B. And the leading up to this was again the C, insistent 4 C's. And listen to it still with this iambic rhythm of 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rests at all. Part A had 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, rest. Part B has no rest, it's solid melody. Again, that dominant. He's going to be going back and forth all the way through, so many C's. Now, after he's had the cadence here on C major, he brings back part A again with our rests. Now he repeats it with no rests, sustained. Now solid C's. take the left hand alone here. I call this the connecting phrases extended. It's going to connect us back to our part B, fully impassioned in big chords and octaves. So he's setting up a lot of intensity here with these repeated dominant Cs, twice the length we've had so far in the rocking rhythm. I would like to bring out between the alto and the bass notes here on the bottom. See if you can hear those now, because that's one of Chopin's always, never just plain homogenized chord. There are chords. There are always horizontal lines going on, parallel lines creating another secondary voice dialogue, and we need to look for them. Bring them out. They're in there. So so there's a lot of shaping on that cadence there. Fast. Now, totally new thing. We have a tide. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Tide. No more lilting rhythm. Descending passages or ascending. So, here's the first one. Another drop down to this G natural. Another ominous thing. Where is he taking us? Coming together. Let's see. Bring out this. And then see. Another 2 measures full out with chords now. What's coming next? Another declamatory octave on A flat, the tonic. And C major and more connecting rocking C's on the iambic rhythm and back Part A, theme 2, just like the beginning section. Exactly the same. Do you notice my touch here? See, I'm just sweeping and floating. I'm floating on the keys. I'm trying to replicate what I think Chopin was inspired by, is the sound of water and the fluidness and the ever-changing nature of water and the softness of water. When I feel these keys, the keys are so soft under my hands and my body is relaxed and stroking on the keys. This piece is difficult intuitively in the sense of not having it sound too wooden in here. I often hear students play it. so unmusical. It's not at all what I think Chopin wanted. Remember, he was a very light and delicate player, and he played his play-al piano, getting these gorgeous silvery tones and all the colors of the rainbow. That was the description from his German friend Heinrich Heine, who heard him play. So I'm always thinking now, what are the silvery rainbow colors that Chopin got out of his play-al piano and that we want to try to get out of the piano we're playing? This is little half steps in here. This is, remember, the siren is singing all of this, and she's luring the sailors. So there's a little evil undercurrent in here too. I'm trying not to get too much into the poem, because I just said that that's not what Chopin was after, but it does matter to me why he puts in these little accent spice notes and colors throughout the piece. So make up your own interpretation. And then we have a repetition now on this, and this time the left-hand tenor changes. He's changing it just at the end. We're wrapping up our whole theme two now. Let's back up one more time with this. So far, just like it started. But this is a chord here this time instead of a third. So the other difference is this tenor now here. Back to C. Again, more rocking notes, stagnant C, just holding. How long is he going to go on? And what's coming next? I'm dying to tell you, and I will. This exquisite moment in the piece. We're at the middle of the section of the entire piece now, where the waltz begins. I'm going to now show you what I'm looking at, and this is my working copy of pages 3 and 4 out of 10 in a 10-page chart. I'm just going to hold this up here. All of these colors and marks you're going to get on another supply. But I'm pointing this big like this, so you can see that how this began with the rocking C's I put in the orange box and the introductory material of part A. That's how it began, and that's how it ended. Exactly. The rocking material and that. So if you put these, I can show you in another form. Now let's put this back here. And here, by the way, is my pages 1 and 2, which was all theme 1 in the pink box. Nothing but pink for the first 2 pages of your main file. So I'll show you now your working copy music that you get in your chart package. Looks like this. This is page 1 of 10, and you see that this is a large sheet of paper, 11 inches by 17 inches wide. Lots and lots of open space. This is your 8-measure theme 1 beginning, and then this all was exploration of dotted rhythms and falling seconds. There is your page 2 right behind it, and that is, after I make these 10 pages in the main file, then I can make the satellite view, still on the black and white, but I've condensed it. Instead of on 10 horizontal pages, I have it on 5 vertical pages. And this is extremely helpful. This is the first of 5. All theme 1 on page 1, all theme 2 on page 2 of the satellite view. And these are nice to see that the piece is self-contained. Theme 1 starts here and ends here as an enclosed entity, basically starts and ends the same way, and so does the beginning of theme 2, starts and ends the same way. These are enclosed, self-contained sections. And then comes the waltz. After that, going on with the supplies now, here is the color structural analysis that I just adore. So here, this is what you get in your chart package, which you can get from my website as digital downloads, my website, Sally Christian Music. And you just take your PDFs to a print store and have them printed out on 60-pound cardstock. I happen to have bound my pages 1 and 2 like this on the back with tape, because I like to practice that way after I've learned the piece pretty well. And I put it up on the music rack, and the notes are big enough I can read really well from here. And look what I get, this fabulous color display now. And I can show you here. Let's take a look at page 2, because that's theme 2 is really so complicated. And with the colors that I chose, part A is in the blue and part B is in the purple. And you can see how Chopin is intertwining these two almost imperceptibly. But when you study your piece, you need to know, is it the first part of theme 2 or is it the second part? Here's the first part, connecting measures here all on the dominant with these insistent repeated C's in both the right and the left hand, emphatic, 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 dominant 2, F minor, with that final statement impassioned of the dominant strain, part B. And this is all bridge material with the 4 notes coming together, contrary motion. The rocking rhythm has stopped, but only for a minute, a second, briefly, just to catch our breath after all of this impassioned F minor main strand. And then after that dominant C, lots of dominant, you're going to see C's everywhere in this piece. He returns to the lilting connecting C's, just like this, the part A with the variations here, and then we're at our pause here. We think we don't know where we're going. And now I'm going to go back to the lesson. Oh, I actually have a little more supply I just have to show you, because this is, you know, I put every lesson I give is a little bit different, and each one I get new ideas for things, and I have to say that I was elated to make this up. This is the panoramic view of the entire piece. And you can do this too. If you get a big enough board, I'll just tell you what I did. I went to, I won't tell you which store I went to, but I got a piece of pretty cheap artwork that fit in here. And I just used the packaging for this because it's really light. And I bound it with this heavy cardstock, so it's nice and smooth. I put Scotch tape on it. And I'm going to have this as a permanent display of this panel view. Because when we go and analyze these ballades, and I have learned all of them and I've analyzed them all, we get to see in this format the grand arc of the piece, which is essential to understand. And here it is. Oh, let me take my really wonderful, authentic conductor's baton so I can really point all the way through. Here's theme 1 on page 1. Here's all of theme 2. Now comes the midway point of the piece. This is the waltz section. And it's different from anything else. And Chopin puts it in the middle, just like he did in his first ballade, right in the middle. And then on the last 2 pages, he does some extraordinary things with composition here. Really standalone, even for Chopin, with all the amazing things he's done. He does something unique and different. Here is our, you can see it's purple. This is another iteration of our theme 2 part B, totally different key area. And then we get in this pretty extraordinary bit of alternating part A of theme 2, and theme 1 finally starts to come back. See all of this after page 1, we don't have any theme 1. It's all working around other elements of theme 2 and this beautiful waltz, and then exploring theme 2 in another, perhaps underwater world. He doesn't want to leave this yet. He's saving it for the very end, the return of theme 1. So maybe I'll come back to this, maybe I won't, because these lessons are improvisatory. I don't really know what I'm going to say when. I prepare everything as much as I can in advance as far as content, but I don't have a set script. So I'm just in the flow, I'm in the sandbox with you here. That's what this music does for me. I lose sense of all sense of the outside world, and I lose sense of time, and I'm just here playing with these waves. I'm playing the end of, I'm going to also say that I'm using a lot of torso support to do this because I want my body to dance and sway, but I have to support with a tight core so I don't fall off the bench, and I can keep myself stable and let my arms be limpid, but they're just floating. The little marionettes with the little strings that come and move them. That's how I feel. Somebody's moving my arms. The spirit of the music is, and sing it. This gets me every time. Modulation to our tonic of A flat major, and now we go to theme 3 with the waltz, which is divided into 3 sections. The first is what I consider an introductory to the waltz, and he's exploring with all of these gorgeous arabesques, and in the left hand he has an inverted falling second. Instead of it's going up, and these passages. Let's do this again. Do you see how I'm singing on this note? And cascade down. Now another big ascent. This is going up 2, 3, 4 octaves to here. Now on E flat. He's experimenting. Can't you just see the improvisation? I liked it so much. I'm going to do it now on the dominant. Let's do this one. Let's start. No, this. Let's start again. Now to E flat. Big reaches, big arches, big sprays of mist. And the novel waltz begins. This is the middle of theme 3. It's a quick waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's still in 6/8 time. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't have the barcarolle feeling though. It has the waltz feeling. A quick one. Now up a fourth to D flat major. I'm going to do this again. A little slower. learned this, I followed these intervals. Them third, fourth, fourth for the first time, and the second time the same for the first two, and sixth. Third, fourth, fourth. Third, fourth, sixth. Now we go on, a huge ascent. Up to D flat major. Third, fourth, fourth. Third, fourth, sixth. Now this next scale is tricky to learn. Measure 130 because the patterns are not the same. And what I did is learn the beat note names. F for the first three beats. Here. E flat. C, A natural, and coming down, A flat, C, E flat. Let's put this all in context now. And notice the left. Just with the right hand. And it closes with gorgeous clusters. Lots of hands alone. Essential to know these parts, absolutely hands alone. Then you put them together and you know what to bring out and how to hear the dialogue between the two hands. Sing it. Repetition. But my favorite part really is this third part here, starting at measure 136, and I give it a title of Rhapsodic Four-Note Melody, because it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We had that before in the bridge of the theme 2 section, so he's building on that little nugget of the four-note descents. You know, when I play this part in the piece, I truly go into rapture. I just give myself to this piece, and I just open up the floodgates of my emotions. The left hand helps too because it's opening you. Listen to these as blocked chords in measure 136. I'm going to redistribute this. Beautiful harmonies. It's all broken, huge intervals. Those are all tenths. These are big reaches. I can barely reach them. all together now, because what comes next, it was something that took me a long time to get my head around, the structure of the piece and what he was doing. This is a little elusive, this piece, as far as how he's constructed it, and we're trying to analyze it, figure out, well, how's everything really fitting in here? What really is this? One more time with this rhapsodic section. Oh, and that middle note in this chord here in the right hand. He's bringing this D flat. He's asking you to hold the D flat. It's tied. Begins the development section. That's what I meant. It took me a long time to figure that out, and what comes right after this? Of course, our strand 1 of theme 2. Now in A flat major. Actually, it sounds like A flat major here, but it is really D flat major. And now you know why he was bringing out all of those D flats earlier, because he's hinting at the hidden D flat tonality that's coming with our theme 2 part A right here. That's it's really that key, but it doesn't last hardly at all. It goes to its dominant A flat. Oh, there's that one again. This time it's a G flats instead of the A flat. Now here's the same tenor variation going on. Bring it out. Always the rocking. A flat, pedal point. Which was turns into an enharmonic C sharp. And Chopin does something extraordinary. He takes a brand new key area of C sharp minor. It has nothing to do with A flat major. And he gives our gorgeous now transformation of the theme 2 part beat. Before we go on to that, I want to point out, let's see, on my, this is what I want to point out right here. If I take my page 3, which, I'm sorry, I wanted my page 4. This is how our theme 2 ended on page 4. Remember, your theme 1 on the main file is pages 1 and 2, and theme 2 is pages 3 and 4. It really makes it nice on these charts as you learn the piece, because when I learned this, you see I have them side by side, so I normally would have pages 3 and 4 back to back. I have no page turns. I have my completely enclosed theme 2. Now I'm going to show you taking page 4 and 6 side by side, because I want to compare the bottom 2 systems, system 1, 2, 3, 4, of both of these, and I'm going to put them side by side to show you the similarity of construction. One of them is used as the close of theme 2, and the other one is used as the beginning of the development section. Now that may not register so much for you at this moment, how significant that is, but it meant everything to me because the material is the same. So I just thought, oh, okay, it's just more part two, but it isn't. He's using part two now as a kickoff to develop the piece. So the first time we had it with these, and then, oh, the first time was this. Let's say. Then the second time. Fourth way. But in this, it's and now we begin on our main file. Page 7, and I have 7 and 8 together now side by side, C sharp minor, and we have our melody of theme 2 part B in the right hand. And underneath, Chopin is giving an extraordinary counterpoint that gives a new texture and a new sense of mystery and a little bit uneasy sounding with all of this. I'm going to play it as written first. This. It's a lot like that waltz. Learning the pattern, 3rd, 4th, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 6th. Learn these patterns. Up to F sharp, up to A, up to D sharp. And staccato, but it's a soft staccato. Climbing. Staccato, staccato. Now it repeats, but it goes farther this time. To there. D sharp staccato and G sharp, where we have modulated. That's one of my favorite parts in the piece. It is so absolutely beautiful. And it's marked mezzo voce here. So this is all very, very not too real or articulated. I like to have this almost in a murmur. Which is the relative major of C sharp minor, and right out, back. He's done that all the way through the piece. Now starts the first time a pedal point in the right hand on G sharp. This G sharp is the dominant, right, of the C sharp minor. And he's back and forth. These fifths, tonic and dominant, are all the way through the piece. And now we get the theme 2 part A in the left hand. But this time no rests. It's not da 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 da. It's sustained. Now the rocking bass on the pedal point of G sharp. part B coming up right now. But let's put the hands together now on this starting measure 165 with all of these broken chords. This is a G sharp octave back and forth. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm taking my thumb and I'm kind of real low on the keys, just picking up that 5 with hardly letting the key up. I'm keeping my hands real low to the keys here, so to just clear it. I'm not up high. Because that is the moment where every pianist inside tightens up just a little bit because it's so difficult at that point. And I made an addendum, which I'm really thrilled to share with you, for those final 4 measures that I played. It's the addendum for measures 179 to 183. And if we take a look at this, I did this because I was having trouble. I learned this piece when I was in my 30s, and so I've been playing it for a long time. And when I learned it in my younger days, I didn't have any problem learning any of these things. It was just, I just did it. And I find as each decade goes by that I learn differently. And perhaps I learn more like somebody that now that doesn't take it so much for granted and doesn't just do it as automatically and intuitively, but more from the intellectual understanding of really what's in here. So I found all kinds of things at this last round of doing this piece that I'm marked on here. And so this is how I recommend approaching this very difficult concluding passage. I first notice how the octave lines in the bass go down. So what does that tell you? We started on C sharp because we were in C sharp minor. By the way, those are all little waves. Chopin has marked slurs. I'm backing up just a second, please. I can't ignore this part of the piece. We'll get back to that addendum, but I need to go with the previous 6 measures here with the lead up to that, because this is equally difficult. Now this is your page 8, and what I'm looking at is this part right here. Notice it's all in the purple box. It's these 6 measures here and these 4 here. 10 measures you have got to know cold. And it is not easy. So I'm just going to take the right hand first, starting at measure 173. Do you see this technique? Push, push, down. It's up, a lot of up, down with the wrist without leaving the keys. This is this like this. That A2, this. I gotta get that one back, but that's the same technique as this. These are all with the upper arm. You can block them, and then. Now thirds and sixths. And going on, and harmonic change. Okay, now I'm going to go right right to this addendum because I'm on the measure 179, and the two parts are pretty easy in the soprano. Easy pattern, and I marked that pattern for you on this bottom one. This is the same 4 measures. There was so much information, I had to do 2 of them. So here is that soprano line, and notice we have descending fourths in the pink circles of the top line of the right hand, which is the soprano line. So that follows this pattern. But see, it changes keys because he starts in C sharp minor and then modulates to B major at the end. So your key area is shifting in the middle, and therefore these intervals are not exact duplications as they go down the scale. They don't match one set scale because they're playing double duty to either the C sharp minor tonality or the B major. The B major has an A sharp. But the C sharp minor, being the relative minor of E major, does not have an A sharp. So some of these A's are sharp and some of them aren't, and that's what makes this hard, one of the things. Underneath that soprano line now is the part why I made this addendum in the first place, is the yellow circled notes of the alto in here. And I have where the alto notes change, and these notes here show you that it's not a consistent pattern. So first I'm going to just play. And I'm now going to take, and I'm going to double the alto notes. So we had 4 E's. Now we drop to D sharp and drop to D natural, stay D natural. Now drop to C sharp and 3 of them. Drop to B sharp, drop to B natural, stay, drop to A sharp, drop to A natural, stay. Now 3 G sharps. Drop to F double sharp, drop to F sharp, stay, E sharp, E natural. Okay, I'm going to play it now again without talking, but still playing with my left hand, the alto notes, because you want to train your ears how this moves. This has got to be rote. But you have to start off first by pounding it into your brain, pounding it into your eyes, into your ears, and into your fingers. And I promise you, after doing this correctly every day for 4 months, you'll have it. And you'll need it because you're going to be watching the jumps in the left hand. This one's got to be automatic. Messed up at the end there. But you get the idea. Okay, now we're going to take the other element of the left hand, and it's these going up, sixths. See, there's the A natural. There's the A sharp. See, that's why those don't match. What's going on here? That's what's going on. 2 different keys. Okay, and then so just the sixths. It's gorgeous. This reminds me of overtones of the bells. It's just absolutely gorgeous writing. So Chopin was so deeply inspired for this passage here. Okay, now the last thing that I did on this, and I'm taking a fair amount of time on this, you will need to also, I was having a hard time, as written this left hand. Did I play the octaves yet? I don't think I did. Those are in the blue box. So each thing that has a different color here is a separate practice step. Your practice steps, the sopranos in pink,
broken descending fourths. These now are the bass fifths that jump down in the blue boxes. Know those as separate independent parts. Your sixths now, know those as separate independent intervals, just like I did. And now we have to do the connectors in the bass. Now what I did is I put this orange line on here to show you with just the fingers 1 4 1 1 4 1 1 4 1 1 4. You get this pattern. Seems pretty easy, right? Well, it is a big deal because they're not all the same. Some are whole steps and some are half steps. And you've got to train again, train your ears. Then when you go to play it as written, you've got that in here, you've got it in here, and I watch my fourth finger. See if you can hear that. Everybody together. I love that part. It's just so great there. By the way, Ravel copied that in his Gaspard de la Nuit, and he does a passage just like that over and over again. Through. Very exciting, totally from this piece. He loved Chopin. He wrote this fabulous adulation piece, a written piece, how much he admired and revered Chopin, as did Debussy, who dedicated his 12 etudes to Monsieur Chopin. Everybody loves Chopin. Prokofiev couldn't have written his Third Symphony, second movement, The Fire Angel, without the third piano sonata of Chopin. You know, Chopin had such a profound influence on so many different composers. He was groundbreaking. And when I have to go back to this thing, it just blew my mind because I grew up with Chopin. It was my first love. I just accepted it. This is common language. Everybody speaks Chopin because that's how I was raised. With the earliest memories are with classical piano music, classical music. My parents played a lot of symphonies. They put me to sleep every night with Mozart symphonies on the old LPs. It was great. It was wonderful. But anyway, I was going somewhere with that specifically. I forgot. I just have to let that one go. So we have now arrived on this B, and I'm going to show you now my last supply. And I just made this a few days ago, so it hasn't been engraved with my engraver yet, but it will be in your chart package. Now what he's doing now, Chopin, oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. Thank goodness I remembered. I was going to say that this classical sonata form that we are so used to, and we study all the Beethoven sonatas and pretty much every classical sonata, which is de rigueur to learn in classes. You know, go to music classes. We learn about sonata form. It's basic. But when Chopin was writing, there wasn't anything like him yet. He did it. He was the groundbreaker. He's the one that paved the way for all those composers that came after. Scriabin, Ravel, Debussy, Prokofiev, Fauré, who could never have written his nocturnes without Chopin. You know, it just gave me a whole new understanding of the profound role that Chopin played for us. This just as profound as Bach did. And isn't it funny that Bach is the one Chopin revered the most? So in Chopin's groundbreaking breaking away from the norms of compositional techniques, unfortunately he had a teacher who let him have free rein because he recognized Chopin was a genius, and he said, don't touch him, let him do his thing. He's perfect, just the way he is. He's a genius. Elsner was the teacher that wrote that. First year exam, passed his thing, fine, great. Second year exam, passed his thing, fine, great. Third year exam, passed his thing, genius. Just like that. Okay, so now we're getting in, oh gosh, I love this. We are going to get back to the theme one. And how is he going to do it? He's put it off for a long, long time. And he's going to work his way back by a game of tag, of alternating entries of first the theme 2 part A for 4 measures, and then he sneaks in theme 1 in the pink for 4 measures. And then another 4 measures. See, this is a game of tag. 4 for the blue, 4 for the pink. Then he goes into a type of accelerando of building excitement. He cuts the lengths in half, only does the first 2 measures, and he goes 2 the blue, 2 the pink, 2 the blue, 2 the pink. What's that going to do to the piece? Okay, that's one element of it. The next element is, it's a sequence. And he's building up stepwise with this tremolo where we ended on those B's with the... We're going to do that forever. Attention to. I'm not going to go back and do it again. I don't want this lesson to be 2 hours. It's already probably going to be an hour and a half. But this 4 measures here, I marked that this is a stretto entry. Remember when I played it, I brought out that B because it comes in before the part theme 2 is finished. By definition, that is a stretto, and it's tied over. So you need to bring that B out loudly so you will hear it and know that that's the beginning. And this is all very soft piano and just sort of an undercurrent still. We survived the crashing 12 feet waves of that last strand of the C sharp minor section, but now we're calming it down a little bit. daylight here. I'm just giving examples. But you need to feel the emotional intensity and excitement of something imminent, something building. To put that excitement and anticipation into your interpretation, because it's in the music. It's so gorgeous. Now here comes the half measure lengths, just two measures each. And he's bringing out these E flats here. They're marked as dotted quarter notes. Hold them. And he's dotting the rhythms. He's getting so excited. Measure 209, this is the final ascent. It's all chromatic. The octaves. And it's got intervals in between, which makes this technically difficult. Thirds on the top. Another dotted rhythm. Put it all together. An apotheosis of sorts, a spiritual forming of the highest and greatest and most beautiful and wonderful of manifestations here. It is theme 1 transformed. This is the triumph of the human spirit. This cannot possibly have been the sailors being crashed to their death. No, absolutely the opposite. This is the triumph and the rising into full glory of the human spirit fully expressed. That's my interpretation of this. Okay, so I want to take the hands alone here. That's a quarter note, the E flat. Held. More dotted rhythms. More. And back and forth. And back and forth. And more dotted. Sorry. And the left hand here, lots of hands alone. This is measure 213. Sixths and fifths. I got a great fingering here. 3, 3, 5. You want this legato, not. So you're bringing it all out with this thumb. It's getting more and more agitated, and it's leading to a one-of-a-kind coda. Now, on all the other ballades, Ballades 1, 2, and 4, Chopin uses a separate coda entity. It's detached and it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the piece material per se. There are threads, of course, nodding to it, but it's a standalone and long and virtuoso part of the piece that kind of comes out of nowhere. He does not do that on this piece, giving a brand new ending of length and virtuosity. Rather, he cuts without any warning to the strands of theme 3 with those gorgeous arpeggios. This is extraordinary to end the piece like that, to not end the piece, which Sonata 4 would have done, staying with theme 1. But he segues immediately now into the theme 3 for the final 11 measures of the piece, which I'm going to do now, started on with this beautiful dissonant. It's all delay, the ultimate tonic. So hands together. Drop down a bit here to make room for the crescendo, volume-wise. Same with the right hand. That's exactly the passages. It's your third ballade, and I really hope, first of all, I have very much enjoyed sharing this piece with you, and I hope you will find these ideas of technical suggestions, interpretative ideas and touch suggestions, and especially the analytics of this. I hope you will find it helpful and have a deeper appreciation of just how extraordinary this piece is, even in today's standards of everything that has been written since Chopin wrote this piece in 1841. This is still right up there in the pinnacle of the greatest works. And so I just wish you all the best with it. I came across this great quote that I really believe in the deep of my soul. It says, an artist at work is in a condition of complete and total faith. So when you go to your practice room and things, whatever's happened, outside of your practicing, you go to that practice room and you can have the faith to know that you are in a completely protected and perfect world when you're there at the keyboard with your piano working on these works that were really, I believe, divinely given to us and divinely inspired. And when you go to perform them too, knowing that you are prepared. I had, I'll give you one little story. I was playing a piano concerto years ago, and the conductor and I were talking about stage fright, which everybody has, and he said, it's just a matter of being prepared. And I thought to myself, great, am I prepared? And that's one of the things that led to me doing these color structural analyses and these charts the way I do now, because it has made all the difference for me in being more thoroughly prepared, because I more understand the pieces. And then I can go out in a state of total faith. and just forget everything and just be in the moment and go back to the original thing of that improvisation that Chopin did when he wrote the piece to begin with, when the piece was conceived as an improvisation. And every performance to me is an improvisation. You can never play it the same way twice, nor should you. It's going into the unknown and having the faith to step off that diving board, and wherever it takes you in the moment, that's where you're supposed to go. So thank you so much. Best of wishes to you, and do learn this third ballade. Thanks.